There's something uniquely devastating about losing a friend. It's not like a romantic breakup, where people expect you to grieve, to wallow, to take time off from life. No one tells you how to mourn a friend. No one warns you about the way their absence will sneak up on you in the smallest moments. Inside jokes that suddenly feel hollow, songs that used to belong to both of you. The way your hand hovers over their contact before remembering there's nothing left to say. We all wish friendships didn't end. It's supposed to be the safe place, the thing that endures. And when it doesn't, it leaves behind a hurt that's hard to name. And maybe that's the hardest part. There's no real script for this kind of loss. Gerald Mollenhorst's research shows that friendships are fluid. 52% of social circles change every 7 years, and only 30% of close friends remain. In a study done with 1,007 adults revealed that half of their friendships were replaced over time, highlighting how relationships often form out of convenience rather than deep connection. If you'd had a loud, dramatic falling out, at least there'd be something to point to, some clean reason for the severing. But sometimes friendships just erode, quietly and painfully, until one day you realize you're standing alone, wondering when the shift happened. Or worse, sometimes it's sudden. A conversation that turns cold, an argument that takes on a life of its own, a betrayal you never saw coming. Either way, the ending sits heavy in your chest, an open wound that no one else seems to notice. So, what do you do with that? How do you carry a loss that no one else is mourning? First, you stop pretending it doesn't hurt. You don't have to keep minimizing it, telling yourself, it's just a friendship, I shouldn't be this upset, because you should. Because this matters. Grief doesn't just belong to romantic love or death. It belongs here too, in the spaces where people once stood. Research backs this up. Bleesner and Adams found that nearly 2/3 of friendships, approximately 68% of them, don't end with a fight, but simply fade due to distance, unreturned texts, or life pulling people in different directions. Life gets busy. Texts go unanswered. Months turn into years, and before you know it, you're standing alone, wondering when the shift happened. Madeline Argy, in her Pretty Lonesome podcast, talks about rereading an old note she wrote during a painful time and realizing how much she had forgotten about the depth of her own suffering. She explains how easy it is to look back and think, it wasn't that deep. Until we're faced with our own words, reminding us just how much it actually hurt. And maybe that's the thing about grief. It distorts itself over time. At the moment, the loss is unbearable, but as we move forward, we convince ourselves that we shouldn't have felt it so deeply. But minimizing it doesn't erase it. It just buries it. A study by SAS and Komen found that personal grief rituals can be powerful tools for emotional processing and closure. They identified 3 types: rituals of honoring, letting go, and self-transformation, all of which allow us to take an active role in our healing. Maybe that means lighting a candle and speaking our pain aloud, giving form to what you've been carrying inside. Maybe it's writing a letter that will never be sent, every word a step toward release, and then burning it, watching the past turn to ash. Or maybe it's something quieter, placing a meaningful object in a special place, turning it into a symbol of both loss and love. These acts don't erase the grief, but they offer us a way to move through it. When the grief has settled into something you can sit with, you start to rewrite the story. Not in a way that erases what was good, but in a way that lets us move forward without carrying the weight of someone else's choices. You don't have to keep retracing every conversation, every moment, searching for the thing you did wrong. Maybe there was no single moment. Maybe there was nothing you could have done. One day, without even realizing it, you'll wake up and the ache won't be as sharp. The memories won't be landmines anymore. You'll hear that song and feel something softer, not just the loss, but also the love that once existed. And you'll look around and realize that life kept moving, and so did I. One breath, one step, one moment at a time. Because no friendship, no loss, No amount of heartbreak will ever take away the fact that you are still here, still whole, still worthy of love, the kind that doesn't leave.